Hello and welcome. This is Lisa Jones, and you are listening to the Exploring Death podcast. Hello and welcome to the Exploring Death podcast. I'm Lisa Jones, your host, and today I have Sara Beaupre with me. She's a powerful and dynamic psychic medium with deep roots in Northeast Wisconsin. Sara knows firsthand what it's like to experience the depth of grief. In 2011, her only child, at just 4 years old, passed away in a tragic accident. Through the loss of her 4-year-old son, she began her journey and embraced her remarkable ability to communicate with loved ones that have departed from this world to the next. In 2017, Sara was featured in You magazine and is a credible and reputable member of Bob Olson's Best Psychic Directory. Welcome, Sara.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so excited to have you here. As we were just chatting beforehand, I lived 1 year in Wisconsin, and you've got quite a following there. So, tell me how this all unfolded. I know it started with a tragedy, but, like you said, again, as we were talking earlier about, we all have our life's path of coming to the work we do, and yours is quite extraordinary.
Yes. So I began my, I went to college for dental hygiene. So I clean people's teeth. I've spent 25 years in dentistry. And in 2011, that all changed for me. So my son, Cooper, passed away to a tragic accident, or I should say in a tragic accident. And when that transpired, my only wish was to find him, and that I needed him. That was the one thing that in my life at that tragic time and such a desperate time, I wanted my son. So I started seeking, and I started taking some classes. My teacher came in and she was saying, you need to go and take some classes and for spirituality. And I didn't know anything about it. I was like, okay, well, fine, I'll go take this class. So I started, and all of a sudden I just abruptly opened up. And it's a really comical story, but it literally, I heard somebody talking to me while I was in a porta potty.
Yeah, that's quite a funny story. Let's hear about that.
Yeah. So, I probably would think, being a science mind person that I am, that, spirit would have to come and talk to me and have this, bizarre awakening. If I'm just laying in my bed and the angels are there, it may be a little bit like, what? I don't believe this. But of course, you got me when I'm in a porta potty at a retreat center. And I heard clearly, my name is Earl and I'm her grandpa. And I was like, okay, well, I will be right out. It's in the middle of the night. There was only one gentleman that was at this retreat center. And, his dialect was not similar to this gentleman's. And I went to my friends that were in the retreat center. And I said, listen, something just happened to me. I heard my name is Earl and I'm her grandpa. Now, remember, Lisa, I had no idea about mediumship, anything, nothing about that, previously. And this woman said to me, well, my grandpa's name is Earl, but he's dead. And I was like, okay, well, something just happened and I don't know what it was. So then I, as the days would go on, like, just kind of odd things would happen to me where I would hear people in my head talking to me like I'm talking to you right now. It was so crystal clear. Now, remember, my son has been, he passed, and this was in June of 2012 that I opened up. And now my son is only gone a year. And at this point in time, I'm thinking that I've absolutely gone insane. I mean, really, because now I'm hearing voices in my head. I'm in heavy grief. What's transpiring here? And my teacher at the time, she had mentioned to me, go take a mediumship class. And I was kind of like, okay, all right. She's like, you've opened up to the spirit world. And I was like, okay, well, where's Cooper? That is all I cared about at the time. So I went and I took a mediumship class, and I did very, very well. I didn't even know what I was doing at that time. I I just know that I heard things in my head and I would tell them to people and they would understand it.
Wow, that's amazing. And I guess I'm curious about your teacher. How did you connect with your teacher? Because a lot of times I think people, they're searching for exactly what you found, but they don't even know kind of where to start. So was there a
Oh,
story around that, or?
yes. So she came into my life. So we sat with a Catholic priest for 3 months. He was the most amazing man in the world. I'm absolutely still in love with him because he truly saved my husband and I. And then my teacher came in about 3 months after Cooper had passed. So when he stopped, she came, and she was actually a friend of my husband's. My husband's a dentist, so the hygienist, one of his hygienists, and she was very spiritual, and she came in and just really guided me. I mean, I had so many angels come in to help me at that time. So that's how I met her. And she really just took me under her wing and showed me the way. And I owe so much to her because, I think that when people lose children or they go through the passing of anybody, right? It is one of those very daunting moments, days, I mean, of even trying to gather to breathe, right? So I was very blessed with her, and she helped me through with talking to Cooper mediumistically as well. So, it wasn't like an everyday affair, but yeah, she was amazing. I'm very grateful for her.
That's great. And I was going to ask you, so were you able to connect with Cooper then, either through your ability or with someone else?
So we had a mediumship reading. A friend told me to contact a woman she was in Michigan, and we had that about a month after Cooper had passed, and it was absolutely incredible. I mean, I knew at that moment in time, and she actually said, "You have a very strong ability," and I didn't know what she was even talking about at the time, and I was like, okay, well, whatever, and that was incredible. So then I started Cooper started talking to me then. I had quite a few visitations from him. And one visitation I remember so vividly, and you can understand, you've probably had these for anybody else who has had them. It's as though they're right here. I was looking at him. I saw him. It was so vivid. We were having a conversation back and forth. And he said to me, "Mom, do you believe in miracles?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Good, because I'm coming back." Okay.
Wow.
Okay, baby, come back. I mean, that's all I can think it is. Please, I just need you. And he did. He did by helping me with the work that I do. I strongly believe that.
Yes.
Because I don't believe that I would be doing this work had this not happened.
Right. Wow. And so, I mean, has he given you any information along those lines? Like it's almost like his passing had to have happened or something for this to unfold, or?
Yeah, I work with him in such a different way than like a 4-year-old child. I work with him on a soul level. So I see that soul purpose level, and many other mediums also have worked with him, in that respect. So I know that is why he's here, or why he was here. It's as though he needed to come into this physical state for this 4-year short period of time to, make an impact, especially on, myself, well, clearly my husband as well, and then depart and say, "Okay, Mom, now you have to do this," because everything, it just happened so fast in a year's period of time, where I went from being a dental hygienist to a medium. Like, what?
Wow.
How does that work? So his purpose was to come here and, really get me to be teachable and to start seeking.
Right. It sounds like he came to awaken you, really, to wake you up to what your sole purpose was here.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
Wow. And so how did it go? Like you were saying, you went from dental hygienist to medium in a year. Did you just start putting your name out there? I mean, for my listeners who are listening, I think it's that next step. How do you go from just, I'm hearing spirit to kind of making it your career?
Oh, right, right. So, I basically, how I started is I would do, I did readings for people, for free for probably about, so I opened up in June and I started reading in October that same
Okay.
year. So it was very, very fast for me. And I just, for like a year, I would do readings for people for free because I got to that point where I said to myself, if I have somebody who is sitting across from me who has lost their daughter or their son, like I'm exampling myself, then how I have to be absolutely right with this work that I'm doing. I have to make sure that this ability is really true and real. So I would always tell people, listen, I'm just practicing. And then I flew all over. I went to New York, to Vancouver to work with some incredible teachers, such as Tony Stockwell, Mavis Patilla, John Holland, and Janet Nohavik. And I really embraced it. And then of course I did charge people, which would be like $10 or something, I had to have a value to it. So I really flew all over and I learned from wonderful mediums. And then I just started embracing this myself. And it's Sarah's way to make the connection. And that is something I want to really tell people who are considering, opening the door to mediumship, is that you have to make it your own. You can learn from everybody, but you have to make it your own. And my name just got out there, Lisa. People, started calling me and contacting me and saying, could you come and do a group reading? Or, and I was very much word of mouth. That's kind of how it got out. And then I got a Facebook page, which was terrifying. And then a website. And again, my referral or my basis of my business is basically referral. So that's the greatest compliment to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Oh my goodness. So can you share maybe a couple of stories that have just blown your mind, things that have come through or anything that?
Oh yeah. I love
Okay.
these stories.
Great.
Yeah. I was thinking about this earlier. This is a really cute story. So I was working with a woman. Now I had met her husband because her son had passed. So I did a reading for the two of them and then their other son, bringing forward the soul of the son who had passed. And her husband tragically passed away, like I believe it was about 6 months ago. So I was reading him. I was having the communication with her husband at this time. And I'm thinking to myself, like the tears welling in my eyes, because here this woman is, and I met you, I met this man physically, and it just seemed odd. Well, anyway, he's very lovely. And he came, as he started the communication with me, he said to me, please look at my wife. And I was like, okay. And he showed me a tube of toothpaste. And I'm thinking, really? A tube of toothpaste? And he's like, yes. And he goes and he showed me holding his toothbrush up. And I said, okay. And he goes, she uses it every single day. And I was like, what? All right. So I said, Lisa, please tell me, your husband is speaking about this tube of toothpaste and his toothbrush. And she's saying, and he's telling me that you use it every day. And she's like, oh my God, I do. I brush my teeth with this toothbrush because it just makes me feel so good. I mean, it's a part of him, right?
Right.
So I was like, she's like, people will think that is absolutely so gross. I'm like, that is absolutely beautiful.
It is. It makes my heart just,
right?
Yes, it just wells my heart with just love. I mean, that's love, right? Pure love right there.
Pure love. And so many people, I think, strive for that. And I'm like, there is nothing crazy about that.
No, No.
It is the coolest thing. And like you said,
And what a confirming, conversation from her husband, or, comment from him to confirm to her that, what you're getting is real. I mean, you can't make that up. You can't Google that. You can't,
Yeah. So I said to her, I said, oh, so did you put that on social media anywhere?
Right.
She's like, Sarah, are you kidding me? Like, I would never do that. I don't even want people to know that this is what I'm doing, And I had a giggle because, hey, people, I mean, there are skeptics out there and I don't really care about that. That's fine. But it was something that was so personal that nobody would ever even know.
That's
Nobody
right.
would ever know.
Wow.
And I love that.
Yes.
That's what it's about though, for me,
Yes.
I've got to get the goods in there.
Oh my goodness, that is wonderful. And what do you think as far as for you, being a medium, like how has that changed who you are as a person?
Oh, that's a really good question. I am absolutely not the same Sarah as I was, before Cooper, when Cooper was here physically. I mean, I see things, I look at things, I stop and I acknowledge the grass, the trees, the birds, anything and everything in life means so much to me now, which I wish I'm not saying it didn't before, but like you spoke about being awake. I mean, my eyes just are open to everything. And I don't ever discount anything because I just pay more attention. And I think that my love for myself, my family, and the people who I meet is so much more. There's so much more. I feel fuller. I feel alive. I feel incredible. And I'm so grateful for Cooper for this ability. I'm grateful for Cooper for showing that to me. Because without this happening, this tragedy, I would not be in the space that I am. Right. So I owe him a lot for that, along with, I think it's an amazing gift that I can see that now. So I appreciate things much more than I did, I would say. Maybe I took them for granted before.
Right. I always say that my husband's death woke me up to life.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To get to that space, Lisa, it took me, I mean, we're going on 9 years in April of this year. And it took me a long time to get to this space. But I look at him and I fulfill all that love that I have for that little boy. And I use that to live my life.
Wow, that's beautiful. It totally brings tears to my eyes hearing that. It's just, and I think that's what a gift, mediumship is for people. Like not only for us that get to be the conduit, but for those that we work with, and that you get to share the love of their loved one, to them.
Yeah.
And, but I also believe everyone's a medium if they want it to be, right? It's all about just practice and intention and wanting that. But I always say it's like playing the piano. Some people are just gifted and can play the piano without any instruction. But if you really want to learn, you can take lessons and get great teachers and, practice, and everyone has the ability. So I think I agree. Want to know that too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how I did it. I mean, I didn't know what all went into mediumship, and I started taking some classes. I mean, maybe I had an experience where, I had somebody talking to me, but it's very different now, 7 years later. It's so different. And there's a lot of work and patience that goes into it. But if you stick it out and your heart is in the right place, that's all that matters. Go for it. I say all the time, I'm like, we need more of you here. We need more mediums. Oh my God.
That's right.
We need you.
And I think now too, people's minds are much more open to mediumship. I mean, even 10 years ago, I feel like there was much more, people just were, I don't know, they thought it was dark or something, or, not for real. But I think just the more people are waking up, people are open and wanted and are excited about it. So
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I was working with a woman this week who her son had passed to a very tragic accident. It was just a very tough one for me to be in. But she said to me, "I'm the biggest skeptic ever." And I said, "Well, that's fine. You're going to have a great reading then." Because for me, like the skeptics, it's their loved ones always want to come through. Then there's, like you just nail them with the information. I'm like, "You're going to have a great reading. Don't worry about it." And she's like, "No, Sarah, like seriously skeptical. Like I would probably put something negative about you on Facebook." And I was like, "Really? Okay. Well, I never get that. So fair." And then she said, "But here I am begging,
right.
begging for you to talk to my son to bring him back to life."
Right. Wow. And how did
That
she
made me
walk
have
away?
tears.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. She was so grateful. I kept telling her, I'm like, "I don't want you to leave." Yeah, her son came through, and there were some things that were left very, very, I'm like almost an open police case and things like that. So it was one of those things where she got some validation to the fact that, first of all, that he's safe and that he wasn't in pain and that he's with his grandma and grandpa and, all these things. So that just made her heart feel full.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but I appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty of her sitting down and saying, "You know what? I'm totally skeptical of all this." I
Right.
appreciate that from people.
Yeah. And then,
I
like
don't,
you said, and yet there she was, right? Because she's so desperate to want to connect that she's willing to set her skepticism aside to hopefully connect. And then she does. And then her heart starts to open and then she wakes up, So that's what a gift medium
yeah,
should be for people that are skeptical. And
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, she's a primary example because I feel like when you come in for a private session with me personally, people are vulnerable in a state, right? You're in such a vulnerable state because you just want that connection again. Trust me, I know I've been there. Been there. And I'm still there when somebody reads for me, I'm still like, "Oh my gosh, I'm probably the worst person to read for because I am, a little guarded, but no, and for the soul to open up and then accept all of that healing and that the love that comes from their loved one again. Oh my gosh, it's a powerful thing.
It really
This is
is.
not a parlor trick here, people.
No, no, it
It's
is
a
not.
powerful thing, right?
That's right. Absolutely. And like you said, too, being of a science mind, and I was an accountant before. And then when this unfolds,
Oh,
it just, I mean, and I still to this day I don't do as many readings as I used to do. I'm focused more on doing this death, exploring death. But it's always that question because you want to be right. Like you said, you don't want to be giving bad information or wrong information. But what I keep getting
right.
told is as long as you're coming from it with, the right heart and the right mindset that, spirit always will lead you in the right direction. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to get away from being concerned about the outcome
Right.
and surrendering to it. And that's a lot. When you are a science mind or, coming from accounting mind, you're using that, your brain power all the time. So prove it, prove it, prove it,
Right. Right. Yeah,
It's
that's
kind
it.
of
You got
like,
to release the outcome because again, and then it becomes more about you rather than the
right.
experience or what you're bringing through. So, letting go of that egoic mind of like, wait, I have to be right. I have to make sure to prove it. I have to, and a lot of times I know for me, I'll get the information and then my brain tries to, make it make sense. And that's not the way to do it. You got to just say it outright, right? Have you ever
Hmm.
had that experience
Oh
where
my God, yes. I'm like, what? Like, oh, this is cute. This, I mean, just an example. Yes, absolutely. So the spirit world for me, I just know things. I don't know how I know them. I just know them. So that's the strongest ability. And then, I have different facets of, as you're aware of, if I see or hear or whatever. And I saw this, I was sitting with this family and this, daughter she had passed, and she came through. She showed me this huge bunny. So I see this bunny. I said, I have a stuffed animal bunny with change in it, like quarters. And she was like, her sister said, oh my God. So it's her bunny. That's like a life-size bunny, right? It's her sister's bunny. And they find quarters all the time. So they put quarters inside the bunny.
Oh my goodness. Right. Right. And meanwhile, in your mind, when it probably came in, you're like trying to understand, which it's not understandable because it's something that they're doing that's not.
Yeah. I just said to him, I have a bunny with quarters. And they were like,
and they're like, oh, we totally know what you're talking about.
yeah. And I'm thinking, oh my God, in my rational mind, I'm like, but I say everything. I just give it because like that quarter and bunny, like what?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, you get those moments where you're kind of like, you don't have a clue what you're saying, but you just say it.
That's right.
And then when they understand, you're like this. Oh my God, it blows my mind.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, I'd love to pull a couple of cards for you if you're open to that. Awesome.
I'm totally open. Yes, absolutely.
Right. Let's see what Spirit has to say.
So
this is always a fun part of the conversation. Okay, so the first card is Grace. And generally, the first card is the blockage card. But what I'm getting is that it's like you have so much grace. And there's even more that can be coming through, like of your ability. You're helping so many people. And so the action card to do that is purification, which that card is all about, really going through and just clutter clearing, getting rid of anything. They're specifically saying that, I don't know if there's some things that you don't like as much as others. I don't know if it's, we were talking before, you recently did a large event. And so I don't know if there's one thing or another that you prefer to do, but it's like focus on what you really want to do, because I've got chills as I'm saying that. So maybe
you're right. You're right.
Events, right?
Right.
And it's all about purification, is like letting go of anything that's not for your highest calling. And then, wow, truth is your outcome card. And again, my whole body, I've got chills. Like,
I love it. Look at you.
I'm like an antenna on fire. I know, you're total. Oh my gosh. So yeah, the more that you can, and I guess it's just, they're just saying like, yeah, you need to be on stage. You need to get yourself out there. You need to be bigger and help more people, because the more that you're out there and on these bigger stages, more people will see you and be able to get their messages, not only their specific messages, but by seeing you, the Sara method, they're saying, come through, it helps open others to what they're here to do. It's just confirmation. And even telling your story about how you opened up to mediumship and helping guide people to finding their way to open up to mediumship that's very powerful too, coming through. That you need to speak your truth and talk about, how you came to this, and that would even be a part of the stage show is sharing, your path to becoming a medium. It's not just about the mediumship, but it's helping others, opening the door for them to become a medium too. So, whew, that was a lot.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That is absolutely 100% correct. And that's what I love to do. And right now I'm really in this moment of my career where, I guess if I could call it that, where I'm really trying to focus on taking the things that are too much for me to handle and getting rid of, just not doing those events. I shouldn't say events or groups or readings or whatever that is, because right now it's about me. And I really have to find that balance right now. So I'm in the process of weeding things out and
good.
Yay. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, total confirmation then, because that's the more that you can weed that out and, delegate, and find, they're even saying finding other people to help you with that, whether it's an assistant or a team or something, to do all that stuff behind the scenes, and let you be you, this beautiful star that you are, to share your gift with people.
Yeah, my friends were just texting me the other day, and I know that when they hear this, they're going to be like, told you so, saying you need to get an assistant. Like, you need to not be doing these things. So
that's right.
That's hilarious.
Right. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that'll up level your whole situation too. I mean, it feels, like, oh, I can't do that, or the money or whatever, but it's crazy, because once you do, then it just starts, it opens up even more. So
yeah,
it's a real key to expanding your whole vision, as opposed to contracting it. So that's good.
Well, thank you. I love that.
You're so welcome. So is there anything else you wanted to share, or, definitely we want to know how the listeners can get a hold of you. I will have all the links on my site, but, if you want to talk about that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you can get a hold of me via my website for private sessions at www.sarabeaupre.com. And I'm on Facebook, and that is Psychic Medium Sara Beaupre, and also Instagram, which I think is just Medium Sara Beaupre. So yeah, I'm out there, and I do offer phone sessions and private in person. And who knows, maybe you'll see me at a big event, because clearly that's supposed to be my pathway to help people on a grander scale. So.
Absolutely. Well, and I'd love to invite you to come to Maui, and we can set up something here for you to do an event as well. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be a blast.
Especially when you live in Wisconsin, it would be a great opportunity to get out of the cold weather for a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Sara, so much. This has been such a fun conversation. And I know that you've helped so many people listening in today just understand a little bit more about mediumship, and to know that, anybody that has the desire and wants to try it out can do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so grateful to be here, and, I have this opportunity to work with you today. And, I encourage people to go for it, and, go and learn with somebody, find a mentor who's going to support you and make you the best medium ever that will help change people's lives.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Thank you for listening to the Exploring Death podcast. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Before you make any financial or legal decisions, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Exploring Death. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting.